So when it comes to bringing your worth, it really comes down to three basic things. I didn't say easy, but basic, simple. The first thing is that every single thing is a partnership. I don't care if you're CEO of a company, you're making $50 million a year, and you're hiring somebody, or you're part of the janitorial services at a local school. Everyone has their particular worth. That varies over time. Not your worth, but how you show up to bring your worth. So number one, every single thing is a partnership. Number two, do not wait for permission. Do not wait for permission. I cannot emphasize this more. If you're waiting for somebody to tell you, yeah, attaboy, attaboy, keep going. Back to the signaling. They're waiting on you to step up, for you to represent yourself, however you represent yourself. Then they'll get aboard. So number one, everything's partnership. Number two, don't wait for permission. And number three, the toughest one, everything and everyone has a legacy. Every single thing. There are no mistakes. Every single one of us has a purpose, even in our trauma. So number one, let's get into that. Everything is a partnership. I got a master's in magazine publishing from Northwestern over in Chicago, like I mentioned. And I went in summer of 1999. Now, if you are in the job force or familiar with careers in 1999, you'll remember it's a dot-com bubble. We have pets.com. If you remember that, maybe it's some inside baseball. You have Webvan, which would go around and give fresh groceries. Everybody was becoming millionaires, it sounded like, in Silicon Valley. And that's why I decided to go to grad school in Chicago. Maybe I picked the wrong place. A year passes, fall of 2000. My birthday's in September, so it's a few weeks before my birthday. I'm geeked, I got masters from one of the best schools in the world, blah, blah, blah. 2 job offers, the dot-com bubble burst. Both of my job offers were rescinded because of financial reasons. The second one, literally on the day where I'm going home on the L train with my degree under my arm. Never forget the day. Going back to a now expensive apartment that I signed a year-long lease on based on me having this job. So I was like, what am I going to do? Well, that's right, I used to be a freelancer, so I do articles here and there, a couple of Michigan publications. When I went to Oakland University on the other side of the state. So back when I was at Oakland, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe I'll do some of that. How many of y'all are freelancers or work as consultants, like full-time? How hard is it? Okay, so I'm a 20-something, early 20-something. I was one of those precocious guys. I got my master's when I was like 21. So I'm like, I didn't know anything. I'm coming out. And I'm thinking, I'm going to pitch Smithsonian. I'm going to pitch Spin Magazine, which used to be hot. I don't think it's around anymore. And I'm just going to get to these publications. So about 6 weeks later, I started to starve. Literally. I'm not kidding. It was salmon cakes and tuna and scraping food together with my friends. I wasn't dying, but I was starving. Pardon me. And I was like, this takes a while. Because you have to pitch these publications, right? You're like a consultant. Then you have to get a meeting with them. Then you have to sell them on your story idea. Then they have to send you the contract. Then you have to sign the contract. But then you have to do the work. Then you have to get the work edited. It has to be ready for publication. And then you can invoice them. 6 weeks in, I'm starving. Then I hear that my alumni, I was still in Chicago, Northwestern is having an alumni get-together. And it's not networking. I'm thinking, I can get some food. I'm not kidding. Are you young grad students? Like, for real, like it's like that sometimes, I can be honest with you. So it's like, let me get some food, I'll haul up there, I'll pay the money to get the train, get that, and just know what you got, do that. I'm in the buffet line, somewhere to that, a little bit lower. We all get tags. And I'm reaching for something, and I almost touch hands with the editor at Playboy. Let's just pause. Rewind back to 2000. Broke post-grad student. Not sure I'm going to pay my rent, nevertheless eat. I specialize in intimacy and technology. Even back then, it's a freaking editor for Playboy. What are you going to do? You got like a second. They're going for the cucumbers. It's like, okay, I got a second to make an impression. And I realized immediately there were two things I could do. The first thing, which I wanted to do, I'm going to be honest with you, is to say, hey, I'm guessing you graduated from the same thing that I did, and you're not that much older than me, so we probably have the same professors. It's really good to see you. Listen, I'm just starting my freelance career. You're with Playboy. It's actually back then, it's like the big magazine of the land, particularly in Chicago. Can you hook me up? Listen, I'm starving. You've been a grad student before. I am starving. Can you give me a story or something? I'll do anything. Whatever you need me to write, I just need to eat. But luckily, I had good mentorship, a proud family, and other guidance early on to know that everything, even when you're freaking starving, everything is a partnership. So, take a deep breath. Luckily, I meditate. Got my stuff together. And I said, hey, I love your publication. I love Hefner's vision. He was still alive at the time. So I love Hefner's vision. I love the work. In fact, my granddad back in Jersey, I was visiting him a few years ago, 100% the truth. I was visiting him a few years ago, and I was in his attic, and he actually had a stack of Playboys from like the 60s and 70s. He's actually a minister before he passed away. Even he had Playboys. Rest in peace, sorry, but be honest about it. And I'm like, but the historical context, particularly when it comes to the civil rights movements, where you talk about Malcolm X, the first interviews of MLK, Alex Haley, I can keep going, James Baldwin. They made their mark in Playboy. So it's not just about the pictures, as they say. I know that history. What y'all are trying to do is beautiful. I also know that you guys just had your 50th or 60th anniversary. And I know that Hefner's in his 70s. Look, I just graduated like 3 months ago. I specialize and focus on intimacy and technology, and I'm fairly well read. I would love to interject some new blood into Playboy, even as a freelancer. I think there's some great things we can do together. So I have a few story ideas. In fact, there's one. I think there's one that would be absolutely perfect for you. So I can shoot you an email. I'm not going to get you right now, but I can shoot you an email, or better yet, we can do a quick phone call early next week. It was like Friday. Quick phone call early next week, and we can talk about it. Is that okay? And they said, yeah. Okay. We talked on Tuesday, and I had my first piece in there about 3 months later on the website. That piece, which I didn't get paid much for, that piece turned into me being a regular writer for the magazine. Bless you. Being a regular writer for the magazine. And then doing features for the magazine, just like the people that I mentioned, my heroes. And then eventually, Hugh Hefner's people called my book agent and asked if we wanted to collaborate on the book. It became Playboy's Greatest Covers. Our cover book became a bestseller about a decade ago. I share all this because if I came in with the, I always forget the reference, Charles Dickens, please, man, sir, may I have more? Right? I think it was Oliver Twist. Somebody can correct me with it. Okay. Thank you. All right. I always forget that reference. If I came like that, though, you see what I'm doing. Please help. Would that be the basis? Would they have opened up the doors and said, yes, you're a quality person. Come write for us. Yes, do this 1,500-word feature just like your heroes. Yes, we're going to call your people with our people, and we're going to do a book together. Those are the seeds of the partnership. That's what I mean by everything is a partnership. If you have a partnership or relationship that feels right, I'm not going to mince words. If you have a relationship that feels right, a partnership doesn't feel right, treat it like a tree. You have to look at the roots. You have to look at the roots. How did that relationship start? Were you bringing your worth when you first connected with that organization, that person, that partner, that business? This includes customers too. If you're talking to customers and you're talking to them like they're doing you a favor, nah. Your service, your product, your idea exists for a reason. And they should pay you gladly for that. If they're not, they're the wrong customer. If your partnerships aren't looking right, you got to look at the roots. I graduated grad school in 2000. Still working for Playboy. It's 22 years. I was a very true person. That's the origins of that partnership. If that was rotten, if that was corrupt, none of the other stuff would have happened. And by now, the tree would have fallen over. So number one, everything is a partnership.